Prince Louis, vision has emerged of him absolutely beaming.
What happens when a 7-year-old royal unknowingly challenges centuries of tradition with a single innocent question? In a world of polished appearances and carefully crafted statements, Prince Louis's candid curiosity sparked a ripple far beyond palace walls. His words weren't planned, but they struck a nerve, one tied to legacy, love, and the memory of a grandmother he never met. Could this small voice be a sign of a new kind of royal future? Prince Louis, the youngest child of Prince William and Catherine, Princess of Wales, has quickly become one of the most talked-about members of the royal family. Since his birth in April 2018, public interest in him has grown, not just because of his position in the royal line of succession, but also because of his lively personality and spontaneous moments during public appearances. As the third child in a family often in the spotlight, Louis is frequently seen engaging with the public in a way that feels refreshingly genuine. His expressions, interactions, and carefree energy have led many to draw comparisons between him and his late grandmother, Princess Diana. Princess Diana remains one of the most beloved figures in the history of the British monarchy. Known for her warmth, emotional openness, and deep compassion, Diana was often described as the royal who truly connected with people on a personal level. She was called the People's Princess for a reason. She broke through the formal barriers often associated with royalty and made a lasting impact through her humanitarian work and relatable demeanor. Her legacy is felt across generations, especially in how her sons, Princes William and Harry, continue to honor her through their charitable work and parenting styles. And now, as royal watchers have noted, that legacy may also be showing up in Diana's grandchildren, particularly Prince Louis. Louis's middle names, Arthur and Charles, reflect royal tradition, honoring his grandfather, King Charles III. But beyond the formality of his title and naming, Louis brings something different to the public image of the royal family. He has been seen laughing, waving enthusiastically, making faces, and even having moments of rebellion that many parents might recognize in their own children. His behavior at events like Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee stood out. While the event itself was a display of royal tradition and ceremonial order, Louis's playful interruptions offered a striking contrast. He covered his ears during the flypast, made faces at his mother, and seemed unaware or unconcerned about the millions watching. Yet far from being criticized, many people praised him for showing a human side to the royal family, something Diana had also done in her time. The media has played a significant role in shaping public perceptions of Louis. News outlets, lifestyle magazines, and countless social media users have all weighed in on the similarities between the young prince and his grandmother. Articles highlight not just his physical expressions, but also his role within the royal family. Like Diana, Louis seems to have an ability to draw attention not through effort, but through authenticity. Where Diana once hugged AIDS patients and walked through landmine fields to challenge stigmas, Louis has, in his own way, challenged expectations simply by being himself in a very public arena. Of course, it's too early to know how Louis will grow into his role. At just a few years old, he is still very much in the early stages of royal life, and his future responsibilities are not yet defined. However, what makes his presence notable is that he seems to represent a blend of old and new within the monarchy. His parents have chosen a parenting style that values openness, emotional expression, and a sense of normalcy where possible. William and Catherine have been open about wanting to give their children as normal a childhood as possible, balancing public duties with private family time. This approach mirrors many of the values that Diana tried to instill in her own sons. Observers often comment on how William and Kate seem to be shaping their children's lives with a modern perspective. They take them to school themselves, are present at sports events, and try to shield them from excessive media attention when they can. Diana once did similar things. She broke with tradition by taking her sons to theme parks, fast food restaurants, and even on charity visits. These choices were small but meaningful ways to ground them in the real world, and William has carried that forward with his own family. Louis benefits from this approach, and has grown up in an environment that encourages curiosity and emotional honesty. His interactions with his siblings also show a natural warmth. Whether it's trying to blow out Princess Charlotte's birthday candles or sharing a laugh with Prince George, Louis's moments with his brother and sister are relatable and heartwarming. These small glimpses into royal family life help bridge the gap between the public and the monarchy. Again, this echoes what Diana was known for, bringing the royal family closer to the people, not through big gestures, but through small, human moments. It's also worth noting how the public responds to Louis. His moments of mischief aren't treated as embarrassments. Instead, they are often celebrated as signs of individuality. In a world where public figures are increasingly polished and managed, Louis's unpredictability feels refreshing. People are drawn to it because it feels real. This reaction mirrors the public's response to Diana, who, despite the controlled image the palace tried to maintain, was always seen as the most relatable member of the royal family. The comparisons between Diana and Louis aren't meant to suggest that he is a reincarnation of her legacy, but rather that certain qualities, warmth, authenticity, and emotional openness, seem to be inherited, or at least encouraged within his upbringing. This doesn't just reflect on Louis, but also on William and Kate's efforts to keep Diana's memory alive in meaningful ways. Stories about Diana are reportedly shared with the children. Her photos are in their home. Her name is spoken with love and respect. For Louis, who never met his grandmother, this creates a sense of connection that is both emotional and personal. As he grows older, how much of Diana's influence will shape Louis's choices and public image remains to be seen. But even now, at a young age, his presence in the royal family brings something that resonates with people. The idea that royalty can still be grounded in humanity. Whether it's the way he giggles in front of cameras or holds his mother's hand during official events, Louis reminds people of the joy and unpredictability that Diana once brought to a very formal institution. Public fascination with the royal family has always included a degree of projection. People look for signs of continuity, for symbols of legacy passed from one generation to the next. In Prince Louis, many have found a thread that connects today's royal family with the spirit of Diana. He may never wear a crown or play a central role in royal affairs, but he already represents something meaningful. He reflects a softer side of royalty, one that values emotion over decorum and sincerity over ceremony. That is perhaps why the comparisons persist. In a family shaped by tradition, duty, and public scrutiny, it's the moments of genuine connection that stand out. And whether it's intentional or not, Louis has already made his mark in that space. His young life is still unfolding, and the world will no doubt continue to watch, hoping to see more echoes of the princess who changed everything. Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis each occupy unique roles within the royal family, but they share more than just a lineage. As siblings growing up under public scrutiny, they are learning not just the formalities of royal life, but also the emotional and symbolic responsibilities that come with their family's legacy. Among the three, Prince George is the eldest and the one expected to inherit the throne. As such, he is already beginning to understand the weight that comes with being the future king. People close to the family have observed that George tends to be quiet and observant in public. He absorbs the atmosphere around him and often appears more serious than his younger siblings. During key royal events, his reserved demeanor reflects a child who is becoming aware of the significance of his position, even if he may not fully grasp the political or historical complexities involved just yet. This early sense of responsibility is something that echoes through generations of royals. But for George, it seems to be settling in subtly. While still just a child, he carries himself with a quiet composure that suggests he knows he will have an important role to play. That kind of awareness, especially in a young person, can bring both a sense of pride and an early encounter with pressure. He is not being publicly prepared in the strict way that older generations might have been, but the awareness is clearly there. His parents, William and Catherine, are careful to ensure that George has the space to enjoy a childhood while gently introducing him to what lies ahead. Princess Charlotte, the second child, offers a different dynamic to the sibling group. Described by many as intelligent, confident, and poised, Charlotte has been praised for her natural grace in public appearances. She seems to be aware of her surroundings and responds thoughtfully to them. In many ways, she displays a maturity that exceeds her years. One story that stands out involves a moment after a royal ceremony, when Charlotte reportedly waited until she was back home to ask her mother a very thoughtful question. Had her late grandmother, Princess Diana, ever worn a crown? This question, simple as it may seem, reveals much about Charlotte's growing curiosity and empathy. She was trying to understand not just the roles people play, but the fairness or logic behind them. It's clear that Princess Charlotte is beginning to see beyond the surface of royal life. She is not only absorbing what she sees, but is trying to make sense of the people who came before her. Her question about Diana demonstrates that she's thinking deeply, not just about symbols like crowns, but about what they mean in terms of recognition and respect. Diana, after all, is a significant figure in her family's history. While Charlotte never met her grandmother, she has grown up in a home where Diana's memory is preserved and celebrated. Through stories, pictures, and values passed down from her parents, Diana remains present in the daily lives of the children. Charlotte also shows signs of emotional intelligence. She has been spotted comforting Prince Louis in public, holding his hand during moments that might be overwhelming for a young child. These small but significant gestures reveal her nurturing side. In the spotlight, it's easy for any child to feel overwhelmed, especially when surrounded by cameras and large crowds. Yet, Charlotte seems to respond not with discomfort, but with calm reassurance. This speaks volumes about her character, and perhaps hints at a role she will continue to play as the steady middle child, offering balance between the seriousness of her older brother and the playful spirit of her younger one. Prince Louis, the youngest of the three, continues to capture public affection with his open, often unpredictable behavior. While George represents composure and Charlotte embodies maturity, Louis brings spontaneity and joy to the family's image. Still, even with his youthful energy, he is not disconnected from the values and stories that shape his family. Like his siblings, he is growing up with a strong sense of who his grandmother was. His parents talk about Diana in a way that makes her feel close, even though she passed away long before he was born. In many ways, the bond between George, Charlotte, and Louis reflects not just sibling closeness, but a shared inheritance of legacy. They are not just growing up as members of a prominent family. They are also learning how to carry forward the values of kindness, empathy, and service that their late grandmother championed. These values are not taught in a single conversation, but through everyday actions and examples set by their parents. For William and Catherine, continuing Diana's legacy is clearly a priority. They have spoken publicly about how they want their children to know who Diana was, not just as a historical figure, but as a family member who stood for love and compassion. They make sure that their children hear stories about her, see her photos, and learn about her humanitarian work. Whether it's HIV/AIDS awareness, anti-landmine campaigns, or her care for the homeless, Diana's work is being remembered and passed down. This education isn't limited to history lessons. It's woven into the way the family lives their life. The children are encouraged to be kind, to understand the world beyond their own privileges, and to connect with people genuinely. This is the same approach Diana tried to take with William and Harry. She believed in letting them see both the glamour and the harsh realities of life, so that they would grow into well-rounded, compassionate leaders. That philosophy lives on in how William and Kate are raising George, Charlotte, and Louis. There is something quietly powerful about the way these siblings interact with one another and with the public. Despite their age differences, they seem to share a bond that extends beyond familial love. They understand, at least on some level, the role they play in representing something larger than themselves. But more importantly, they seem to be grounded, protected by a parenting style that values emotional growth as much as royal responsibility. In this environment, even small gestures, Charlotte taking Louis's hand, George standing tall beside his father, Louis making people laugh, carry meaning. These moments show that the next generation of royals may be different from those who came before. They are being raised with empathy, emotional awareness, and a sense of history that's as personal as it is public. Diana's influence doesn't have to be spoken aloud to be felt. It is present in the way the children are taught to show compassion, to ask thoughtful questions, and to treat others with kindness. These may seem like simple traits, but in the context of a royal family known for formality and tradition, they represent a meaningful shift. George, Charlotte, and Louis may not yet understand the full depth of their grandmother's impact, but they are already walking a path shaped by her values. As they grow, each child will face different expectations. George will be expected to lead. Charlotte may have to balance public duties with the freedom to find her own path. Louis, as the youngest, might have the most freedom to explore who he wants to become. But no matter what roles they eventually take on, it's clear that their foundation is one rooted in family, love, and the quiet strength passed down from a grandmother they never had the chance to meet, but who continues to guide them in spirit. Prince Louis, as the youngest of the three children of Prince William and Princess Catherine, occupies a distinctive place within the royal family. While Prince George and Princess Charlotte are already taking on more formal roles as they grow, Louis remains in a stage of early childhood, marked by playfulness and discovery. Yet, even at just 7 years old, he has started to form a symbolic link with someone he never met, his late grandmother, Princess Diana. This connection is not born from personal memories, but through the stories, images, and values consistently shared with him by his parents. Diana's influence is quietly threaded through the fabric of daily life at home, creating an environment where she is not just remembered as a historical figure, but cherished as a family member. At Kensington Palace, her portrait is displayed and her name spoken often, ensuring that her legacy remains a part of the children's everyday lives. To Louis, she isn't the people's princess or a global icon. She is simply Granny Diana, a figure he has come to know through family storytelling and quiet reflections. This method of preserving Diana's memory is deeply intentional. Prince William has expressed in interviews how important it is that his children understand who Diana was and what she stood for. He and Catherine make a conscious effort to keep her spirit alive within the household, using bedtime stories, family photos, and occasional songs, like Elton John's Candle in the Wind, which was famously reworked and performed at her funeral as bridges between generations. These small but meaningful rituals are a way of ensuring that Diana's humanity isn't lost in the larger narrative of royal history. Though Louis is still a child, he is beginning to observe and ask questions about the world around him. Like many children his age, he is inquisitive and sincere, trying to make sense of the information he receives. One particular moment that caught public attention was when Louis, upon seeing a photo of Queen Camilla next to King Charles, reportedly asked a question that reflected his youthful honesty and emotional depth. He wanted to know why Queen Camilla held the title of queen, while his own grandmother Diana never did. This question, while simple, resonated deeply with many people. It struck at the heart of a long-standing public sentiment and historical narrative. Diana's popularity, compassion, and global reach during her lifetime left a mark that has endured far beyond her passing. To millions, she was the rightful queen in the eyes of the public, even if she never held the title formally. Louis's question, though innocent, brought that sentiment back into conversation. It was not meant to be controversial or pointed. Instead, it reflected the pure and genuine thought process of a child trying to reconcile stories of love and loss with the present reality. The reaction to this question was swift and widespread. Media outlets picked it up, headlines were written, and commentators shared their views. Some considered it nothing more than childhood curiosity, while others saw a deeper truth in it. Many felt it demonstrated the power of unfiltered honesty, especially when it comes from someone within the royal family, where words are often measured and carefully considered. In this instance, it was not a public statement or political comment that sparked a broader reflection. It was a heartfelt question from a young boy. This moment also highlighted the generational shift taking place within the monarchy. Louis, like his siblings, is growing up in a different version of the royal family, one that is more modern, emotionally open, and increasingly aware of public perception. Unlike the more rigid and private upbringing of past royals, William and Kate are raising their children with an emphasis on empathy, openness, and self-expression. These values, deeply rooted in Diana's legacy, allow for moments like this to occur naturally, without fear of reprimand or misunderstanding. For Prince Louis, asking such a question wasn't about challenging tradition. It was about understanding fairness through the lens of love and memory. He had heard stories of a kind, caring grandmother who did important work, who loved his father, and who left the world too soon. When confronted with the formal titles given to others, it made sense for him to ask why the person who meant so much to his family didn't have the same kind of recognition. This perspective is uniquely powerful. It offers a reminder that the legacy of someone like Princess Diana is not defined solely by the roles they held, but by the lives they touched. Louis's question underscores the idea that legacy is more about impact than position. Diana's memory continues to live on, not because of a title, but because of the affection and admiration she still inspires, especially within her own family. In many ways, Louis's growing awareness and sense of justice mirror Diana's own character. She was known for her directness, compassion, and her ability to ask difficult questions or take bold actions in service of others. Whether it was shaking hands with an AIDS patient during a time of widespread stigma, or walking through a minefield to bring global attention to landmine victims, Diana repeatedly acted on her convictions, often challenging expectations. Though it is still early, some see in Louis the beginnings of that same spirit, an openness to feel deeply and speak sincerely, even in the most structured environments. Observers have noted Louis's confident and expressive nature during public events, from his waving at crowds to his animated reactions during formal ceremonies. These moments, often lighthearted and amusing, have earned him a devoted following and led to frequent comparisons with Diana's charismatic and relatable public presence. While Prince George often represents tradition, and Princess Charlotte brings elegance, Louis appears to bring spontaneity and warmth, a reminder that humanity has a place even within the rigid framework of royalty. His parents continue to support this development with intention. They are raising their children with a balance of duty and freedom, exposure and protection. Just like Diana took her sons to theme parks and fast food restaurants to ensure they saw life outside palace walls, William and Kate make sure their children are grounded. Whether it's school drop-offs, nature walks, or quiet family time, they are providing a foundation where the children can develop their own identities while staying connected to their heritage. Diana's influence in Louis's upbringing is more than symbolic. It shapes the values being passed down: kindness, awareness, and the courage to question the status quo. Even if he never met her, he is being raised with her example as a model for how to live meaningfully, not just royally. In a time when the monarchy faces calls for reform and relevance, it is moments like these that show how the next generation may carry it forward. As Louis continues to grow, many will be watching to see how this early spark of empathy and curiosity evolves. Will he choose a path that includes public service like his grandmother? Will he continue to ask the kinds of questions that challenge convention and make people think? Only time will tell. But what is certain now is that his voice, even in its young form, already carries weight. It reminds the world that even within institutions built on protocol and tradition, there is space for honesty, emotion, and the innocent wisdom of a child. In the end, Louis's question may not change royal titles or rewrite history, but it has already done something more valuable. It has opened up a conversation, one that connects the past with the future, that brings Diana's memory back into focus, and that reaffirms the human side of royalty. It is a conversation worth continuing, led by a young prince who, even at 7, is helping to shape the story of a family and a legacy that continues to evolve. Princess Diana's legacy continues to echo through the lives of her children and grandchildren. even decades after her tragic death. Often referred to as the People's Princess, Diana Spencer carved out a unique role within the British monarchy, one defined not just by tradition, but by compassion, warmth, and a genuine connection with people. While her marriage to Prince Charles brought her into the spotlight, it was her humanitarian work, her emotional openness, and her devotion to her sons that made her a global icon. Today, many see her spirit reflected in her youngest grandson, Prince Louis. Louis, though never having met his grandmother, is widely viewed as someone who embodies her liveliness and charm. At public appearances, his candid expressions, playful behavior, and moments of unscripted joy have endeared him to the public in ways that strongly recall Diana's own approachability. Unlike the more restrained appearances of some senior royals, Louis has become known for his spontaneous reactions, whether it's pulling faces during formal ceremonies or giggling with his siblings during family events. These seemingly small moments matter. They break the polished surface of royal protocol and reveal the human beings behind the titles. And that was something Diana did with ease. She let the world see her humanity. During King Charles III's coronation, for instance, Louis drew widespread attention when he appeared restless and expressive during the solemn proceedings. Some saw it as a lighthearted distraction, others as a welcome breath of authenticity. The viral clips of him yawning or fidgeting were shared worldwide, reminding people that even within the structured royal system, there's still space for individuality and innocence. Diana, too, understood the importance of breaking the mold in a way that felt relatable. Her decision to hug children in hospitals, to sit on the floor while talking to people, and to publicly show emotion, all of this made her different. And now, many are beginning to see glimmers of that difference in young Louis. Part of what has shaped Louis into such a joyful and expressive child is the environment his parents have created for him. Prince William and Princess Catherine have gone to great lengths to ensure that their children have as normal a childhood as possible. This includes everything from school runs and homemade birthday cakes to time spent outdoors away from cameras. But it also includes intentional storytelling about family history, about values, and about the kind of person Diana was. By bringing her into everyday conversations, the Wales family has ensured that Louis and his siblings grow up not just knowing who Diana was, but understanding why she mattered. This legacy isn't about royal titles or historical milestones. It's about values. Diana championed causes that were ahead of her time, including mental health awareness, HIV/AIDS education, and the campaign to ban landmines. Her willingness to engage with issues others avoided made her a pioneer. When she famously shook hands with an AIDS patient in 1987 without wearing gloves, she helped shift global perceptions about the disease. When she walked through an active minefield in Angola with the Halo Trust, she used her platform to draw attention to the dangers civilians face daily. These actions weren't about symbolism, they were about change. And now, a new generation is being raised with those same ideals. William and Catherine have carried forward Diana's compassion in how they parent. They focus on emotional intelligence, empathy, and teaching their children to see beyond the palace walls. Louis, in particular, appears to be growing up with a free-spirited nature that many hope will blossom into the kind of sincerity and warmth that Diana displayed. Interestingly, being the youngest has given Louis a certain freedom. While Prince George is being prepared for his future role as king, and Princess Charlotte carries the responsibilities of being a senior royal, Louis can still enjoy a degree of ease. This freedom lets his personality shine, whether he's laughing with his parents during public events or reaching out to hold his sister's hand. These are the moments that resonate with people. They reflect a royal family that is changing, one that is becoming more open, more relatable, and perhaps more in tune with the public's desire for authenticity. Even Louis's interactions with his siblings remind many royal watchers of Diana's efforts to keep her sons grounded. She made sure that William and Harry experienced life beyond their royal status. From trips to amusement parks and fast food chains to volunteering at homeless shelters, Diana gave her sons a broader view of the world. The Wales family is following a similar approach. Whether it's exposing the children to different cultures, supporting charitable efforts, or simply spending meaningful time together as a family, they are fostering a sense of balance. One particularly heartwarming moment came during a Christmas service at Sandringham. Lewis was seen walking hand in hand with his mother, joyfully chatting and looking around with curiosity. To many, this recalled Diana's own instinct to comfort her sons and make them feel secure during public outings. The gentle way she would touch their shoulders or bend down to speak to them was not typical of royal behavior at the time, but it spoke volumes about her priorities as a mother. And now, we see Catherine doing much the same with her own children. There's also a growing curiosity among royal watchers and experts about how Diana's traits might further emerge in Louis as he matures. Will he choose a path that includes public service? Will he take on a cause that reflects his grandmother's passion? Will he continue to be the spark of joy and honesty within the royal circle? These questions remain unanswered, but what's clear is that Louis is already being shaped by the values his family holds dear. And yet, Louis's story is not just about looking back. It's also about what lies ahead. The monarchy, now under King Charles III, is facing a moment of transition. Public expectations are shifting. People want a royal family that is not only traditional, but also responsive to modern values, transparency, emotional openness, and social responsibility. In many ways, the younger generation is better equipped to meet this moment. They are being raised in a world that is more connected and more critical. And they are being guided by parents who deeply understand the importance of empathy and integrity. Louis's playful moments, his innocent questions, and his expressive personality all contribute to a broader narrative. The monarchy is evolving. No longer is it only about ceremony and legacy. It is also about humanity. And perhaps that is the most lasting contribution Diana made. She humanized the royal family. She showed the world that vulnerability, compassion, and courage could exist even in the most traditional institutions. Through her, people saw that being royal didn't mean being unreachable. Prince Louis may be just a child, but he carries within him the potential to carry forward that legacy. Whether he becomes deeply involved in public causes, or simply grows up to be someone who treats others with kindness and respect, his journey will be shaped by the example Diana set. Her story is not one that ended with her passing. It continues. In the choices made by her sons, in the values taught to her grandchildren, and in the quiet moments that remind the world of who she was. So while Louis may never wear a crown or take on a formal royal title of significant weight, his role in the family is still meaningful. He represents continuity, connection, and hope. He shows that it's possible to honor the past while still moving forward. And in his laughter, his curiosity, and even in his unexpected questions, there's a piece of Diana that lives on. That legacy, passed down not through official duties but through love and memory, is perhaps the most powerful one of all.